Hello, my creative friends. I'm Heather North from heatherscreativeblessings.com, and today we are kicking off the StampNation birthday bash in honor of StampNation's 4th birthday. And this is actually my second video of the day. I'll explain a little bit more about the birthday bash at the end of this video. But here you'll see just a snippet from that first video that I did today. I created this watercolor background and created a card. And in the process, I cut off this strip. It's 3/4 of an inch off of that panel. So it's 3/4 of an inch by 5.5 inches. And I'm going to make a second card from the same background piece. My piece of basic black cardstock is just 1/4 of an inch wider, so it's 1 inch wide, and it's a little bit longer than 5.5 inches so that I can trim it down afterwards. When you have a really clean and simple card, it's nice to get it as accurate as you can. So what I did was I lined up the side with my grid mat, and then I came in 1/2 inch, or came down 1/2 inch, both top and bottom, with that basic black piece. And because it stuck out, I could really make sure that I was lined up. You don't have to be this careful, but like I said, when you have a clean and simple card, it is nice to pay attention to details like that. I used Tombow Mono Multi Glue for both pieces. It gives me a little bit of wiggle room. I'm just taking my watercolor piece and I am centering it in that black panel and then pressing down firmly to make sure that it stays in place. The stamp set I'm using is from Verve. It's called Be Blessed. Verve is one of our StampNation sponsors this week. And here I am testing out the different sentiments to decide which one I want to use. By the way, this is also the stamp set I used for the flowers you see in the background piece. I decided on the happy birthday and a couple of the little circle bursts. Now this is a brand new stamp set for me. What I like to do when I have a brand new stamp is just test it out the first time or first couple of times on a piece of scrap paper just to make sure that everything's okay with it, and everything was fine. I'm using VersaFine's Black Onyx ink, and it almost always smears on me. So what I like to do is to take clear embossing powder, sprinkle it over the wet ink, and then heat set it, and then I don't have any problems with smearing. I'm taking 2 of these little starburst, circle burst stamps, and I'm going to do the larger one in Squeeze Lemonade. And then I tried out, this is Worn Lipstick, a new color for me, and I decided I wanted more brightness, so I pulled the Pink Raspberry and tried that, and I like that one, so that's what I ended up with. Here's a little quick tip for you that I do. I heat up my heat tool and test it out on my hand before I bring it to the paper. And by getting the heat gun nice and hot, it helps reduce the time that I'm actually heating the paper, and that reduces the warping. So now my second card is done using the same panel. If you remember from my first video, I made this panel and I let it dry, and so here I decided I'm going to cut it apart vertically, and now I have all these different strips that I can use. I love making extra backgrounds and having them on hand to create more cards with. It's always a fun challenge for me. This piece does not have a sentiment, so I can put it wherever I want. I can add the sentiment to the top or the bottom of the card itself. For this card, I'm actually going to use the one that did have the sentiment stamped on it. But I could also take those little strips and use them to line the inside of my cards, and I think that is what I'm going to do with these 3 cards. I'm going to use my Stampin' Up! Grid mat again to get good placement. I cut the watercolor piece just above and below the sentiment, and I can't tell you how tall it is. I think it's 1 1/4 inches or 1 1/2 inches. And then I cut a piece of black cardstock just 1/4 of an inch bigger. So it's 4 1/4 wide by 1/4 of an inch bigger than the panel. And then I took the Tombow Mono Multi Glue and adhered it down. I adhered to the watercolor panel in the center of the black. And then now I am lining up my card base on that grid mat, and I'm bringing the panel down about 3/4 of an inch, and I'm checking on the left and right to make sure it's there. You could just eyeball it, but if you're a perfectionist like me, then this is a great way to get it exactly where you want it to go. I have it in the top 1/3 of the card, and I just like all the white space that's there. If you have any warping, just put, like I said, a clear block or something heavy on top of it and let it dry flat. So here are the 3 cards I created with that watercolor panel. They each really do have a different look by the different areas it's cut, by the amount of white space that I used. Thank you, Verve Stamps, for being such a fabulous sponsor and for making such great stamps. They're going to be giving away one $50 gift certificate to a lucky winner over at StampNation, but all StampNation members can get a free digital download from Verve Stamps, so be sure to head on over to the forums. We also have a couple of other sponsors with some amazing prizes, and there's more information on my blog and, of course, over at the forums. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure and click on the links below to go to my blog and find out more information. If you like my cards today, I hope that you will take the time to like my video and subscribe to my YouTube channel or subscribe to my blog so that you don't miss any future cards. Thank you for taking the time to join me today. I hope that you get time to make something creative. Happy birthday, Stamp Nation. Bye.